The school board meeting will begin in 1 minute. Please take your seats. Again, the school board meeting will begin in 1 minute.
The April 25th, 2023 meeting of the Marion County School Board is now called to order. Mirroring and modeling the way our students begin each day, I ask that we observe a moment of silence at this time. Thank you. I will now ask Board Member Lori Conrad to please read our board commitment statement.
We are Marion County School District Leadership Team. When we come together to work, we are efficient, effective, and productive. Our three most important characteristics are dedicated, transparent, and individually responsible. To work well together, we must demonstrate respect, confront reality, and be accountable. We will always put students first. We will leave a legacy of success.
Thank you, Ms. Conrad. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I request everyone to please put your phones on silent or vibrate to avoid disturbing others. Later in the meeting, up to 30 minutes will be provided for individuals to address the board on matters concerning the operation of the Marion County school system or the school board only. Presentations to the board are limited to 5 minutes and are televised. If you wish to address the board regarding a regular agenda item or matters on which the board customarily takes action, you must first complete a peach-colored form located in the lobby. If you wish to address the board regarding a public hearing or a student discipline matter, please complete a lime green-colored form. These forms must be fully completed and received by the board clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. The procedures applicable for each are on a separate sheet. Board clerk, please call the roll.
Dr. Allison Campbell, District 1.
Here.
Mrs. Lori Conrad, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Eric Cummings, District 3.
Here.
Mrs. Nancy Thrower, District 4.
Here.
Dr. Sarah James, District 5.
Here.
Dr. Diane Gullett, Superintendent.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Powers, School Board Attorney.
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Gullett, good evening. Will you please introduce the member of your team who is giving us tonight's inspiration and pledge?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Nice to see you this evening. It would be my pleasure to introduce Ms. Erin Benavides, who is going to come forward on behalf of Silver River Museum and introduce some special guests and inspiration to lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance after. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Campbell, Vice Chair Thrower, board members Conrad, Cummings, James, Dr. Gullett, Attorney Powers, and Ms. Martinez-Lopez. I am so humbled to be here to present these exceptional science scholars. We have Marion County's finest here tonight. They have not only all placed first at our regional fair for Marion and Sumter County, they've also recently come back from our state science and engineering fair. And I'd like to call them up and I'll introduce them as they come up. So we have Miguel Siciliano from Howard Middle School, who at the Lockheed Martin Science Challenge received an award of $400 for his excellent project and placed first at the State Science Fair. From Osceola Middle, we have Mega Sandrapati, who also at the State Fair placed second, and both of these middle school students have the opportunity to represent Marion County at the Thermo Fisher Junior Innovators Challenge, a national science challenge. From Vanguard High School, we have Abigail Andel, who at the Lockheed Martin Science Challenge received a $400 award for her project in environmental engineering. Also from Vanguard High School, we have Camille Duma, who at the Lockheed Martin Science Challenge received the Best in Fair Award, awarding her a $4,000 cash prize, her teacher a $1,000 cash prize. At the State Fair, she received a scholarship to the Florida Institute of Technology worth up to $86,000, a second place award at State Fair, and she will be representing Marion County Public Schools at the International Science and Engineering Fair in Dallas, Texas in May. And then we also, from Vanguard High School, have Rishi Shaquib, who at the State Fair placed second as well, and is a finalist for the International Science and Engineering Fair in Dallas, Texas. If you don't mind, I'd like to invite Rishi and Camille up to say just a few words about their experience as they've gone through Science Fair.
Good evening. It is an honor for me to speak in front of our school board, Dr. Diane Gullett, our community leaders, teachers, parents, and co-young scientists. I'm Camille Duma, an Ivy Junior student of Vanguard High School. It is very encouraging to see a good number of students who are actively involved in STEM. The experiences we all gain from joining science fairs help us transform to become the future leaders that can make a difference in the world. We are here because we are all leaders of our own selves and innovators of our future. My science fair journey began when I was in the 4th grade. This is my 8th year doing science fair, and each year has been self-fulfilling with experiences filled with stupendous growth. This year, I did mathematics and computational sciences, and I hope to advance to become a successful pathologist and research scientist in the future. Winning in the regional competition led me to join several prestigious competitions. In this year's competitions, the Lockheed Martin Orlando Science Challenge, in which I earned Best in Fair and a $4,000 scholarship from the Orlando Science Center, the Florida State Science and Engineering Fair, in which I placed second and received an $86,000 scholarship from the Florida Institute of Technology, and the International Science and Engineering Fair, which is this coming May 13 to 19 in Dallas, Texas. As young scientists of our generation, we oftentimes face many uncertainties. We try to find answers to our thought-provoking questions that sometimes remain complex and unanswered. Our purpose, curiosity, open-mindedness balanced with skepticism, patience, compassion, and determination are our armors that brought us all here. But our purpose as humans is not to limit ourselves. Rather, we must go beyond, and the growth that comes along with it should create a positive impact on others. Science should help us flourish because we are sentient humans with wonderful brains. We seize the opportunities and align our goals for a greater purpose. I hope every young scientist will be guided by this. Know your purpose and make a difference. Make every science fair that you join self-fulfilling and filled with remarkable growth. Our common goal is to envision and fulfill our dreams, especially for our future careers. But we also need to empower ourselves to be the givers of hope to humanity and to the world. As revealed in the emerging neuroscience of compassion, it is within us, the need to feel and do what is right in the most thoughtful way, because you and I are STEM and we care. On behalf of all the science fair participants from the Big Springs region, I would like to thank Ms. Erin Benavides and Mr. Scott Mitchell and all the staff, as well as the Felburn Foundation and all the sponsors. We truly appreciate you and everyone else who work as a team to build the curriculum that could funnel our interests and talents and motivate us to do our best in STEM. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts and have a blessed night.
Good evening, members of the Marion County School Board. It is with great pride and enthusiasm that I stand before you tonight to introduce a group of exceptional students who have represented our district with distinction at the State Science Fair. Students who have demonstrated a true passion for science and a commitment to excellence. I am honored to be among these students and to have the privilege of recognizing their hard work and dedication tonight. I fondly remember one of my first science fair projects, studying the absorptive properties of sodium polyacrylate, a rather fancy way of saying I spent hours scraping chemicals out of diapers in order to test them. Yet to my fourth grade self, it was captivating. Even though I could barely pronounce the chemical I was testing, I would talk about it to anyone who had the misfortune of being stuck sitting next to me. Science fair represented a window into a great unknown world, allowing my 8-year-old self to attempt to push the bounds of scientific progress. For students all around the world, Science Fair represents an opportunity for hundreds of thousands of brilliant young minds to contribute in all areas of scientific research. The students that are gathered before you here today have addressed topics ranging from developing new chemical pathways for batteries to using mathematical analysis to better understand our own biological processes. Science Fair is so much more than a competition or a line on a resume. It is a chance for us to explore our world, to think critically, and to develop skills which will benefit us in the future. It is a chance for students just like me to make a difference in the world, to find solutions to some of the most pressing challenges we face, and to inspire others to do the same. Tonight, we are here to recognize the work of some of the most brightest scientific minds in our county. Each student before you today represents hundreds of hours of hard work, dedication, and perseverance. Our work demonstrated what is possible with the continued support of educators, families, and the school board to promote scientific inquiry and achievement in Marion County. We celebrate the work of our students and inspiration to the many young boys and girls just like us, changing the world one project at a time. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Mega and Miguel to please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's go take some pictures with these morning teenagers because we're coming.
Yes, ma'am. Moms and dads, this is your time to take photos, so feel free to come up.
I need just to record that and let them come speak to my class.
Thank you so much to our amazing students. What a wonderful way to kick off tonight's meeting. Miss Conrad that is definitely not my wheelhouse. Science is not my wheelhouse at all. And she was just saying that when her students, go ahead, Miss Conrad, say.
I was just saying, teaching fourth grade, which several of them shared is where their love for science started. And you say science fair and the class goes, oh. But their speech, they were so inspiring. I wish they could go to our elementary schools and let our fourth graders hear that, because they would be excited to be engaged.
Yeah. Sounds like a great community engagement concept. I love that. Let them give back to some of our students. So congratulations to those amazing students. So Dr. Gullett, will you please introduce a member of your team who is going to do our first recognition this evening?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to introduce Megan Magamal with our Public Education Foundation, where she serves as the Executive Director, and she's going to introduce some additional special guests tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Campbell, board members, Superintendent Dr. Gullett. This week is Public Education Foundation of Marion County Week, where each day we will highlight and recognize some of the programs and initiatives of our organization. For today, we would like to spend a moment to bring recognition to each of our school business partners. One of our foundation's goals is to ensure that each school in our district has a minimum of one business partner. While the focus of each of these partnerships differs and varies from each company to each school, all partnerships share a common commitment to improving education and ultimately for helping every student in our district succeed. We were very proud to announce last year, which was the first year in more than 20, that we had every school in our district partnered with at least one business, and that support has continued into year 2 with each school partnered. These partnerships are more than a financial commitment to each school. They provide learning opportunities, volunteer opportunities. Our business partnerships have representatives serving on SAC committee meetings. They help with career exploration and in-kind donations that vary and have many forms, whether it's donuts for dads on campus, umbrellas for helping students and staff when the stormy weather hits and the kids need to get to car line or their portables, all the way to in-kind concrete to help repave areas on our campuses. Our community support is priceless. We say it takes a village. These business partners are a part of our village supporting public education. For tonight's meeting, I will be recognizing each of them, and there are 78. I promise to be fast, and we can save the official round of applause for the end. I'll be reading their names off by school alphabetically. Some of our partners with their school leadership members are here, and I do ask that they stand to be recognized when I call their names. So business partners, are we ready? Up first, from Alternative Programs, Ocala Fiber Network, Anthony Elementary, Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club, Bellevue Elementary, Neighborhood Storage Center, Bellevue High School, Advent Health Ocala, Blessing State Farm Agency, and Love Inc. in the heart of Florida. Bellevue Middle, Dr. Jones Orthodontics, Bellevue Santos Express Care of Bellevue, College Park, College of Central Florida, and Meadowbrook Church. Dr. N.H. Jones, Doctors Urgent Care and Ocala Fiber Network. Denellen Elementary, Ocala Fiber Network. Denellen High School, Collier Jernigan, Eastman, and Zublik. Denellen Middle, FMC Wealth Management. East Marion Elementary, American Dream Residential, and Ocala Electric Utility. 8th Street Elementary, Glover Law Firm. Emerald Shores Elementary, Fakori Leadership International, and Ocala Fiber Network. Fessenden Elementary, All-State Construction. Fordham Early Learning Academy, Florida Credit Union. Forest High School, Ray Mears Realtor and Robert Boisnall Oncology Institute. Fort King Middle, Pediatric Associates of Ocala and Ray Mears Realtor. Fort McCoy, Phoenix Wood Products. Greenway Elementary, McDonald's of the Shores and Stone Petroleum Products. Hammett Bowen Elementary, Inline Orthodontics. Harborview Elementary, J.A. Standridge Construction and Ocala Fiber Network. Hillcrest, Ocala Marion County Association of Realtors, OMCAR. They've got a large group with them tonight. Horizon Academy at Marion Oaks, Conrad Tree Service. Howard Middle School, Cox Communications, and Jennifer Darley, PA. Lake Weir High School, Lockheed Martin, Ray Mears Realtor, and the Guest House, Ocala. Lake Weir Middle School, Love Inc. of the Heart of Florida, Ocala Fiber Network, and Ray Mears Realtor. Legacy Elementary, Owsley Construction, and Ocala Fiber Network. Liberty Middle School, Inline Orthodontics. Madison Street Elementary, Dr. Jones Orthodontics, Fine Arts for Ocala, Rainey's, Regions Bank, Riley Arts Center, and Kid City USA. Thank you, Dr. Sarah James. Maplewood Elementary, Ocala Horse and Home Realty. Marion Oaks Elementary, Ocala Fiber Network. Marion Technical College, Jenkins Auto Group. Marion Technical Institute, Signature Brands. North Marion High School, Florida Express Environmental. North Marion Middle School, Ocala Fiber Network. Oakcrest Elementary, Cox Communications. Ocala Springs Elementary, Ocala Electric Utility. Osceola Middle School, Doctors Urgent Care and Reed Orthodontics. Reddick Collier Elementary, Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. Romeo Elementary, On Top of the World 100 Grandparents Club. Saddlewood Elementary, Meadowbrook Church. Shady Hill Elementary, Chick-fil-A at Paddock Mall and the Paddock Mall. Signature Brands as well. South Ocala Elementary, Neighborhood Storage Center. Spar Elementary, Spar Building and Farm Supply, and the Guest House Ocala. Stanton Wearsdale Elementary, Owsley Construction. Sunrise Elementary, Ocala Fiber Network. Vanguard High School, Advent Health Ocala, Rainey's Incorporated, and Dr. Siva, PA. Ward Highlands Elementary, Conrad Tree Service. Westport High School, HCA Florida Ocala Hospital, and the Guest House Ocala. And last but not least, Wyomina Park Elementary and Fakori Medical and Chiropractic Center. Let's give these 78 partnerships a round of applause. These partners are champions for our schools and ultimately the students that we are all here to serve. And many of these partnerships are actually due in part to the work and the strategic involvement of our Chamber and Economic Partnership. So I'm going to ask two additional guests to come up for recognition. We have Kevin Shealy, President and CEO of the CEP, and Beth McCall, their Director of Talent Development, who both have played a role in these partnerships being established.
School board, superintendent, we're just honored to be able to partner with you all. We say it every time we're here, it's about partnerships. Partnerships are what lead to success. In this case, it's really about these businesses and how they have stepped up. I will share quickly, at the beginning of the year, Megan came and said, hey, we've had some businesses, some changes. We've got 3 openings. I think it was 3. And we said, all right. And so we had an exceptional morning's breakfast. We had those principals there. Because nothing like the sad face of a principal without a school business partner. But immediately we were able to announce, hey, these schools, and before that breakfast was over with, we had those schools filled. And that's not about the CP, that's about our business community, which is so phenomenal in stepping up and make a difference. So thank you for allowing us to continue to partner with you all on this in so many other ways. And thank you to all these businesses for what they do, investing and engaging with our students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin and Beth, for having the connection between children, classrooms, and community and bringing our businesses into our public education system. And thank you once again to all of our business partners for your investment and contribution. You are truly helping us serve our schools by financially and materially supporting our teachers and students. So another round of applause for all of our businesses. Thank you.
Snagaball, you would like for us to come down and have a picture?
I would. Thank you, Dr. Campbell. So if I can have our business partner representatives please go to the front of the auditorium, just the business partners. Hi, beautiful. How are you? I'm good.
Thank you for creating layers and rows. And we can get it. Megan.
Yes.
You need to be in.
I need to be in there?
You do need to be in.
Okay. All right. You know I don't like pictures.
I know. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, a couple more. Stay right there. Stay there. And one more for the books. 1, 2, 3.
Now look this way for the side angle. That's right. Work it. Perfect. Thank you.
See you, man. You doing all right? Good. Good, thanks.
All right.
Thank you so much again.
Well, you don't. If you are.
Thank you to all of our amazing business partners and all those administrators that came also. We appreciate all of you principals for coming all this way, depending on where you were headed along the way. But so grateful for our principals and our business partners and the connections that they're forging, truly connecting classrooms and community, all of that. The Public Ed Foundation has done amazing work under the direction of Ms. Magamal, so we're so grateful. Okay, I think we have additional recognitions, so I would now like to take time to recognize donations sent from several gracious individuals and organizations. $1,000 to Dr. N.H. Jones from Dr. Chandra Butler to be used at the principal's discretion. $1,000 to Westport High School from Citizens First Bank to be used for a scholarship awarded to a student graduating in the 2023 class that will be attending a college in Florida. $1,000 to Vanguard High School from Citizens First Bank to be used as a scholarship awarded to a student graduating in 2023 that will be attending a college in Florida. $1,000 to Bellevue High School from Citizens First Bank to be used for a scholarship awarded to a student graduating in 2023 that will be attending a Florida college. So thank you again for the generosity to our school community. These donations total $4,000. Recently, the board made changes. We don't have to approve those donations any longer. We just like to recognize them. So I'm so grateful for the work that continues to be done in our schools and our business community acknowledging that work. It's terrific. And thank you again to everybody. This has been a wonderful night. So, Dr. Gullett, would you now like to make a recommendation on the agenda?
I would. Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend approval of the agenda for the April 25th, 2023 school board meeting with the materials in the board packet, those materials distributed to board members at the meeting, and the audio recording included as part of the official record of the meeting, with the exception of the following items: D21.1, D21.2, D21.3, D21.4, D21.5, and D21.6 that have been placed under discussion under the regular agenda items, and item C20.1 that has been placed under the discussion pulled agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. May I have a motion on the superintendent's recommendation?
So move.
Motion by Reverend Cummings.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Thrower. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 9th, 2023 administrative briefing and work session? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dr. James.
Second.
Second by Ms. Conrad. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. I will now ask the school board's attorney to explain the rules governing persons who wish to address the school board this evening. Good evening, Attorney Powers.
Good evening, Dr. Campbell. In compliance with Section 286.0114 of Florida statutes, the school board has adopted uniform procedures for public speakers who wish to speak at this evening's meeting, either regarding one of today's agenda items or a matter relating to the operations of the school district. These procedures will ensure the public has a reasonable opportunity to be heard on school board and school district matters. A written summary of these procedures is available from the table in the lobby. Public speaker forms are also located on the same table. The completed forms were due to the school board's clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. This evening's speakers will be called prior to the business portion of the school board's meeting in the order of receipt by the school board clerk. Before you begin speaking, please state your full name for the record and spell your last name. Each speaker will have 5 minutes of time. However, if there are more than 5 persons who wish to speak, the board may seek consensus to limit each speaker's time to 3 minutes. When the speaker has 1 minute remaining, the speaker will receive a visual notice to complete his or her comments. Speakers may not yield their time to other people. Speakers and meeting attendees are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner. Therefore, verbal attacks and profanity are strictly prohibited. Pursuant to the procedures for public comments, item 6, speakers are not to identify specific individuals other than themselves or their child unless the statement is provided 24 hours in advance. The board is here to listen to your comments only. You may be directed to an administrative staff member following the conclusion of your comments for further assistance to address your concerns. If there are matters dealing with student discipline, including expulsions, they'll be scheduled at the conclusion of the televised portion of this meeting. Parents may address the board regarding a discipline matter at that time. To ensure student privacy, only a parent or guardian may use a student's first or last name. Identifying references to or identification of other students or their families are also strictly prohibited. A public speaker's speech does not reflect the endorsement, sponsorship, position, or expression of the school district. Thank you for your attention to the board's requirements. Chair, that concludes my explanatory remarks.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Do we have any speakers this evening?
We do, Madam Chair. Mr. Glenn Fiorello.
Good evening, board members. I'm Glenn Fiorello. I spoke to most of you on the phone. I sent an email to all of you regarding Good Friday. And I would love to be able to have you make a policy to the effect of where I'm going with this, but if you could even just put it on the agenda for future discussion to see about making this a policy. It's nothing new. It's reinstating what we did in the past. It was always Good Friday. A lot of businesses were closed. A lot of us didn't work on that day. And of course, schools were always closed on Good Friday, and some were even closed on Monday, right after Easter. We've gotten away from a lot of this, but what I'd like to see us do is make it priority number 1 when we're setting up the scheduling. If you didn't have Good Friday, you wouldn't have Easter. Think about how all this has affected one another. I hate to see us put on a back burner, especially in these times. Allison, you had asked if I would reiterate some of the things or repeat that I discussed. Years ago, for some reason, 30 plus years ago, I saw the decline that was happening in various areas of Marion County. And I went after the drug areas. And often found times that if we were with a group of people who they had the drug dealers right in their neighborhood, and I'd say, how about we pray? They were fighting who could come up with the prayer first. We need to get back to those days. Not the drug dealing part, but the prayer. And I was in Reddick one time, and I was the only one wearing a white shirt, red tie, cowboy boots, and this complexion in the whole group. And that's usually the way it was. And a little girl came up to me, and I named her Ebony. I don't know if it was a real name or not, but this, say, 3.5 feet tall. And I said, it's getting kind of late. Where's your dad? He's dead. Where's your mother? She's in jail. We started talking, and before you know it, she was glued to my side, and I saw another little boy come running up, shoes untied. He's got a big bottle of soda, and I named him Johnny. And I said, Johnny, where'd you get soda? I done stole it. That's what we have. Could you imagine being, say, a preschooler almost, and you've got no one to raise you? Well, we went inside, and it happened to be a meeting was at a church, and I told that story to all the people there. God bless you. And I said, would anyone mind leading us in a prayer? There were 3 or 4 people there who really didn't want me in their neighborhood who led us in prayer. The story goes on and on of places. It got to the point where I had to call Sheriff Moreland, who was our sheriff, for protection because there were so many drug dealers in areas where I would go to talk. That's how bad it got. But I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes all you've got to do is ask. And for some reason, believers forget, they don't want to stand up for it. Well, we don't want to offend anybody. Well, this might happen, that might happen. No, Good Friday, the good Lord didn't get any chance to say, I think I'll pass on this. And we did it. This is what Americans did for years. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not reinventing the wheel. And I'm asking you, if we can't do it tonight, I would love to see you make a policy that the flags are always on half-mast during Good Friday. Always. And that we plan our vacations and scheduling around this day, Good Friday. And maybe I'm the wrong person to bring it up, but it's coming from the heart. And it does work sometimes to go back to what we used to do. It really does. I don't know how many seconds I got left here, but
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Thank you. Do any of you have any questions of me?
The board is just here. This is your time. They're here to listen to your comments.
Well, that was my comment. If you have any questions, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but if you would like to put this on the agenda, I would greatly appreciate it. And long overdue. A quick story. Down the street, half a mile from here, Board of County Commissioners used to meet, and they never prayed. They always had a moment of silence. I happened to be the chairman at the time, and my pastor sat in the front seat, and some of you already heard this story. And he said, what were you doing during the moment of silence? I said, I was doing my grocery list. I don't want to lie. So I told him the truth, doing my grocery. He said, you ever think of praying? Ain't gonna happen, is what I told him. Driving home, I said, let's see if we can make this work. I asked the Board of County Commissioners if we could have someone from the Ministerial Association lead us in a non-denominational prayer. It was like pulling hen's teeth to get him to show up. So I said, here's the game plan. I'm not being sacrilegious. The Our Father and the Lord's Prayer are pretty much a generic prayer. We've all heard of them. I say it every night forwards and backwards as I go to sleep. I even wrote it on my day timer at the time, and I got up there, and one of the commissioners walked out of the room. I got Our Father, the audience stood up, and they all said it. That was 30-plus years ago, and if you go to a Board of County Commissioners meeting, they start with a prayer every time before the meeting happens. We can make changes, but it's really not a change. It's going back to the way we were all raised. That being said,
I regret that I'm the timekeeper, but I have to tell you now your time is
No problem, boss. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend, if you all could please put this on the agenda and let me know, and we could really have something that may be much needed in Marion County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fiorillo. We appreciate your coming this evening and sharing with us your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Ms. Dolores Miller.
Good evening. My name is Dolores Miller, and I came to talk about something that is very important to me. I have a passion for, and that's our children. It breaks my heart to hear stories like this because I work with kids who come from homes that are plagued by not only drugs and violence, but illiteracy. This is the newspaper from April 16th, the New York Times. Even the New York Times says kids can't read, and the education establishment faces a revolt. It says the evidence is clear, the verdict is in. A revolt over how children are taught to read, steadily building for years, is now sweeping school board meetings and state houses around the country. Research shows that most children need systematic, sounded-out instruction known as phonics, as well as other direct support, like building vocabulary and expanding students' knowledge of the world. The push for reform picked up in 2019 when national reading scores showed significant improvement in just 2 places, Mississippi and Washington, D.C. There is also the danger of overemphasizing phonics. To establish true literacy, students need to be able to not only sound out words, but also read quickly and build enough vocabulary and background knowledge for comprehension. Students must keep building skills, moving from the snowy day to Steinbeck and Shakespeare. I work for the Ocala Farm Ministry. I'm a retired school teacher. I'm a 46-year veteran of teaching school. In 2017, I resigned, not because I wanted to. I didn't retire because I wanted to. But my husband had asked me for a long, long time to come join him at our ministry center. And he said, the women and the children there need you. So I went there. I was blessed to have a donor build a 2,000 square room brick and mortar school. I've got 21 children. They attend schools like Romeo Elementary, Dunellen Elementary, College Park, and I forgot because I'm a little nervous, Dunellen College Park, Romeo. I have a couple that are now attending Madison and Blessed Trinity because they were able to get school choice. I've been a teacher for a long time, and I taught my own children because I didn't like what was happening in the public schools. When I joined the ministry, I had mothers bring me their children who were failing in 3rd grade, and they wanted me to help them once they found out I was a teacher. I have lots of 3rd graders reading on a 1st grade level. Those that have been with me since K4 and K5 are doing well. Now, I'm not here to complain because thanks to Ms. Campbell and Ms. Gillette, I was able to get some of the schools to cooperate with me. But my kids in Romeo Elementary, just to tell you, when they came to me, they were D's and F's. Now, half of my kids, in fact, Thursday we're going to Sonic because they're on AB honor roll, and I don't have any more D's and I don't have any more F's. But with the school's cooperation and they accepting me and allowing me to come in and be an interpreter for the parents and be involved in their schooling, I have noticed, especially at Romeo Elementary, the improvement that these little guys are doing. I believe that phonics is being taught, decoding is being taught. Now, it's an uphill battle when you've got 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, 9th graders, 12th graders are reading on a 5th grade level. But I see the change happening, and I'm here to encourage you to continue to work to get better curriculum in the Marion County schools that put emphasis on vocabulary and history. I see our history kind of waning, Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. I don't consider that history. In order to go somewhere, we need to know where we came from. So I think that's important. But I am here to thank you and to encourage you again to work together to elevate our reading scores in Marion County.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. It's good to see you again. Appreciate the work you're doing with those students.
Mr. Timothy Ennis.
Good evening. Timothy M. Ennis, E-N-N-I-S. Unfortunately, I'm here again. I was here a while ago, showed you guys some paperwork, showed you a letter my daughter wrote for the school about being bullied Well, this young girl last week was verbally assaulted, then kicked, then verbally assaulted again. She finally took enough. She did the wrong thing, I agree. She pummeled this little boy on the school bus. But now let's remember, for 5 minutes, she put up with being abused on this bus. So, Osceola decided they did not bother to talk to my daughter. They did not bother to talk to the little girl that saw everything going on. They grabbed my daughter as soon as she walked in, the first bell rang, and put my daughter in school suspension. At that time, my daughter notices the young man who did all this was already in school suspension, not for the incident on the bus, for something else. His second period ended, they removed the boy because his in-school suspension was up. They kept my daughter. Now, as far as I'm concerned, she's the victim. She retaliated. They kept her in the in-school suspension all day long. Then they called me at 3 o'clock. Now, what I forgot to tell you was, at fifth period, roughly 12, is when they finally talked to my daughter. To this point, I still don't know if they ever talked to the young girl who told my daughter on the bus she was going to make a statement because she saw what was going on. They called me at 3:30. By then, my daughter's home and has apologized to me because she said, "Dad, I hit a boy." She knew she did wrong. I get in a discussion with Mr. Kaminsky. The discussion goes as this: your daughter pummeled this boy. She will be suspended for 10 days. 1 day in school, 1 day tomorrow, and then she's going to New Leaf. I said, wait a minute, my daughter's telling me this boy verbally assaulted her, called her names he shouldn't have called, kicked her, and then assaulted her verbally again. So she defended herself. His response was, no, he did not. At that point, I get a hold of Mr. Spencer.
Let's avoid the use of people's names. Just go ahead and you can refer to them by their title.
Don't use names, just refer by title.
He's a school board member. I'll say his name, plain out, because I caught the man in a lie. Because he did not bother to do anything and then bother to review the video. I have it in text message. At that point, he informs me, yes, I did catch the boy doing what your daughter said for 5 minutes prior to her assaulting him. I said, she didn't assault, she defended herself. That's what he left it at that point on Thursday. I also informed him on Thursday, where's the immediate manifesto meeting that was never held? By Friday, I get a phone call from Marion County telling me when the manifesto hearing is going to be. By that time, I've already been informed by the vice president at New Leaf that, yes, according to what I'm telling her, there should have been an immediate meeting. The meeting isn't until the day that my daughter's suspension is up. Why? So this way, Osceola gets what they wanted. Well, this is a repeat from what Osceola's done before. My daughter was touched at one point in Osceola school. I was never informed until after I got involved. I noticed there's some new faces. Other board members know all about this. You people have done the exact same thing you did before. You went after a victim, you put this victim in bad school, and you took the aggressor and did nothing. Please explain to me how you treat victims the way that you have.
Your time has expired, but Dr. Gullett may be able to point you to an administrator that can handle your case.
I'm sorry, my son's going to tell me what you said. That's what he's here for.
He said having one of the board members might end up direct you to someone
Okay.
to talk to. A board member might tell you someone to talk to right now.
The man you're going to tell me to talk to is the man I caught in a lie. So don't ask Mr. Speckler to come talk to
Time
me.
is expired. Thank you.
Because I've already talked to the superintendent, and I thought I was going to have a prior meeting to this meeting with her and Nancy. Nothing has been done.
Dr. Gullett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Ennis and I have had a conversation. He knows I'm going to follow up with him on a few of the items we've discussed, and so I will update the board as well.
Yeah, by the time everything's done, my daughter's been
Ennis,
violated.
if your time is expired, Dr. Gullett's going to reach out to you.
What do you say?
Yeah, we've
Additional speakers?
Ms. Carol Cameron?
Yes, Carol Cameron, Cameron, retired Marion County Public School teacher, currently working at Grace Christian School and for MCPS as a Title I tutor and substitute. I'm here to talk about the Tiny Institute over on the other side of the MTI campus. 6 or 7 years ago, an early childhood program was started here at MTI. The goal was for high school students to earn their State of Florida Early Childhood Professional Certificate or a National Childhood Development Association certification. Students who complete the required components can apply for their DCF staff credential right after graduation and step into a lead teacher role at a child care center. It's important to note that part of earning the certifications is having 540 hands-on hours with children, which is part of what the Tiny Institute helped with. The center became officially licensed last October so that they could care for infants and toddlers of teen moms. At the beginning of this year, they extended the license to cover the whole building. And I know I'm not supposed to, I'm going to say her name one time. Liz Fields has been the director of the school and instructor of high school students as a teaching unit since 2020 and has quickly turned the Tiny Institute into one of the best developmental child care facilities in Ocala. And I know this, and this is a fact too. I know this. So there are several that are really good, but the Tiny Institute is amazing because of what she's done there. The current enrollment is 36 children, ranging in age from 5 months old to 4 years old. 19% are infants and toddlers of teen parents. 47% are children of MCPS employees, and 34% are children from throughout the community. Liz has spent many 12-hour days and weekends planning and creating developmentally appropriate experiences and activities that promote each child's development and learning through a strengths-based, play-based approach to joyful, engaged learning. She has built an amazing program over there. I've subbed there several times before her staff was set up at the beginning of the year, and it was just awesome. She's a teacher, director, and mentor. She instructs students, works with teenagers, fixes food, cleans, and deals with parents every day. She has helped the teen moms with parenting skills. She cares about every single child that's in that center. Our community right now has a great need for affordable, quality childcare. The best programs have a long wait list. We gave up a spot at another center in February so that my 16-month-old grandson could stay at the Tiny Institute next year. Now my daughter and her husband are one of the 7 families who do not have an option for next year because the children are under 2 years old. I've talked to administration here, and I'm aware of several of the issues that are impacting your decisions. I know it's very complicated. I also know that MCPS has a lot of very creative thinkers. I know you're currently working on a plan to provide spaces for the 2 to 3-year-olds over at the Fordham Early Learning Center, and I hope that that works out. I would also ask you to investigate grandfathering those 7 younger students into a class here or there, if possible, until they turn 2 or can find a spot somewhere else. I also hope that the early childhood track will still be offered. There's a need for employees in a lot of the local childhood centers so that they can meet the needs of our community. It is really hard to get quality childcare for young children in Ocala. I'm so thankful for Liz, her staff, the student workers, and the experiences that my grandson Jackson has had this year. He's learned so much. It's just amazing. The Tiny Institute will always have a huge spot in my heart. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron.
Ms. Tamberly Green.
Hi. So my name is Tamberly Green, last name Green. I'm here about extreme bullying at Bellevue Middle School. So my child's in 8th grade, and he has been the victim of bullying most of this year. There was a complaint made by me after we'll just refer to the other kid as the bully, as this bully told my child that he was going to stab him. We went to the school, we filled out made the complaint. They said they would follow up with it. They would report it to the Marion County Sheriff's Department at that time. So my child comes back. He seems to be quiet. His grades are fine. He is very tired, starting to have headaches, starting to be somatic. I take him to the doctor. Now he's being treated for hypertension. So in retrospect, this last week, the kid extorted money from my child. So we go back to the school, make a complaint. Then my child comes clean and says, the kid's been bullying him the whole time, told him it was worse, cussed him, pushes him daily, tries to choke him, tells him, I know where you live. I'll come to your house and kill your grandmother if you tell anybody. On the day that he extorted the money from my child, he said that he had a gun with him at school that day. So when my child came home and told me these things, then I went back to school. When I went to school the next day, the dean of discipline says this kid has multiple offenses of strong arm robbery at that school. I said, why is the kid still here? The resource officer says, do I want to press charges? I say yes. I went home that evening and I made a report to the Marion County Sheriff's Department at home, through the resource officer. And they had no record of the previous incident. And now the school is saying, why didn't your child report the gun? Why didn't your child report the gun? Other kids could have been hurt. That's not my issue. And so then at my insistence, they moved the child from my child's room, but he's still in the flow of transitional traffic from lunch, breakfast, these things. And at my insistence, they did do a no contact order. The no contact order they put in place on Monday and in the morning after I called the school and said, I need this to be done today. And by 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, the kid violated the order. The kid came to my child. You see, of course, it's not all the way on the camera, but you see my child running to an adult. When he went to the other adult, the adult told him to shut up and sit down. And then he said, can I go get my lunch? She said, no, you need to sit down and shut up. So my kid didn't get lunch that day. And then he's texting me from the bathroom. This kid's still after me. He's really going to kill me this time. I've already told. They told me in the past. So I go back down there again. It's a lot of things to say in a short amount of time. But it's just ongoing. So when he violated their restraining order, I was at the school because my son texted me from the bathroom. They had him in the resource office. I signed in. I had a visitor badge. I'm saying, where is my child? Where is my child? He's texting me that he's fearful for his life. Yet again, same kid. And they tell me I have to wait. I waited for 40 minutes. And then I'm like, no. I'm going to the discipline office. I need to know where it is. I go to the door. The guy comes out, and all of a sudden, there's the principal and the resource officer. And they say, oh, well, we'll look at the tape, And then they concluded, we can't see everything on the tape. Now, he went right to the edge of violation, but sort of a gray area. He really didn't violate. So, but when they issued the order, they had told my child, and I was there, if you go into the bathroom, If you walk into a bathroom and he's there, you walk out. If you walk into a classroom and he's there, you walk out. You stay away from the kid. But that kid's able to come to my child, threaten him again, and nothing's done. So my question is, who can help me? I called the school board. They told me that it needed to be referred back to the school. I called the school board, and the superintendent's office. Everybody says refer it back to the school. Now, in this time when my child on Tuesday or on Monday, they had him in a room asking him questions. They told him if he did not write, there was no verbal communication between the bully and my child, that I would be arrested for trespassing at school. My child had no idea.
Your time has expired.
All right. So just somebody reach out to me and tell me who can help me.
Dr. Gullett will address that.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Pardon me, Mr. Chad Frazier is moving to your direction, and he is a supervisor for that school, and he will speak with you now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Green, for bringing this to our attention.
Ms. Jerica Santiago.
Good evening. My name is Jerica Hall Santiago, Santiago. I am the proud parent of 3 children that attend Wyomina Park Elementary. My oldest is in 5th grade. My middle son is in 3rd grade, and my youngest is in kindergarten. Unfortunately, my kids also experience bullying at their school. These are sadly not one-time incidents, but yet a continuing occurrence, so much so that when I ask my kids how their day was, instead of them telling me what they learned in class that day, they are telling me about how a kid has punched, kicked, shoved, or was cursing at them. So much so that 2 weeks ago, my oldest had to lock himself in a bathroom to avoid a child that was coming after him and prevent him from getting hurt again. Yesterday, my middle child came home with scratches all over his back because a kid in his art class pinned him down and punched him and then scratched him. My youngest comes home with stories of how the older children continually push him and kick him and throw rocks at him. I've gone to the school multiple times, nothing has changed. I've called the vice principal multiple times, and he has yet to return a single phone call of mine. Before the dean of discipline left the school around Christmas, my husband and I went and talked with her about some of the situations that had happened with my oldest and my middle child, including where my 9-year-old was slapped across the face, not once but twice in the lunchroom by a student. The zero tolerance policy towards bullying feels a lot more like zero is being done to find a solution to this problem. We've told our kids what the administration has preached, to go tell a teacher, to walk away. We've even told them to scream if they have to get the attention of an adult. At this point, nothing's working, and my husband and I are debating on what do we tell our kids next. Do we tell them to defend themselves? Do we tell them to continue to walk away? Nothing happens. Nothing works. I was even at the school today to talk about the incident yesterday with the scratching, and I understand schools are busy. I was told I would have a phone call by the vice principal. Again, no phone call today. It just seems as though the adults are not protecting them at school, so I don't know what to tell my children if they need to defend themselves or not. Because also going to a teacher, whether it's my student or whether it's me, myself as a parent, nothing is being done. All I need to know is, what do I do? How do I fix this for my kids? Because it's not just my kids. I talk to the students in my neighborhood. It's students not just at Wyomina, but at others. I don't know what to do anymore at this point.
Dr. Gullett.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think you referenced several schools. Thank you for coming. And Miss Melissa Keinert is behind you, and she will meet you and follow up on each of those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Melissa Merriweather?
I saw her walk out. I believe she's speaking with our Human Resources Executive Director, is who I saw her walk out with, but do we have any other speakers, or is she our last one?
She's the last one.
Do we know if Ms. Merriweather is? Thank you.
Madam Chair, in the interim, I'll just say that I indicate to the public at the beginning of each meeting about avoiding the use of anyone's name, and I wanted to give the reason for that, and that is because we are a broadcaster as defined in Florida law, and for reasons of Florida statute, avoiding the use of names of individuals who are not present or are under the age of majority, our Rule 6 that I cite each time is designed to maintain compliance with that statute regarding defamation. And so that's why we say it, and that's why we ask for people not to use names of someone who's not present, because of the fact that if a statement was made that someone later indicated was defamatory, then as a broadcaster, we're sending that out into the world, and we could also potentially be liable. So that's the reason for the request.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Ms. Merriweather.
Good evening. I apologize for, am I too loud?
Fine.
Okay, sorry, it sounds echoey to me. I apologize for my tardiness. I stepped out to actually try to resolve some of this matter. So I want to start by saying first, good evening, Chair Campbell, Vice Chair Thrower. I'm still getting used to where everybody is here. Board members Conrad, Cummings, James, Dr. Gullett, Ms. Martinez-Lopez, and Attorney Powers. Good evening. So tonight on the agenda, there's a list of proposed changes for the collective bargaining agreement between Marion Education Support Professionals and the School Board of Marion County. In late June, I believe it was June 30th of 2022, I did receive an email regarding the job description change from fiddlers to grant manager for ESE. And that job description, this gives me a little bit of heartburn because I'm torn both ways. I like to take care of people. I also believe in doing the right thing. And when we have a process, I believe that we need to stick to the process. So the job description listed grant managers on the salary schedule, but not as they are listed on tonight's attachment. I do understand they are probably being paid at the wage listed on tonight's attachment. I never want to hold somebody back, like I said, from the ability to make more, especially because we're all doing hard jobs and there is a lot of work and detail that goes into those things. But I also have a hard time about making changes to a bargaining agreement without discussion. It sets a terrible precedent. So as the president of Marion Education Support Professionals, MESP, as we are locally known, we are the bargaining agent, and I believe that we should hold discussions before making changes to bargaining agreements for either party to adopt those changes. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Ms. Merriweather. And I believe Dr. Gullett, she's already been speaking with a member of your team, I believe. I'm seeing head nods from the back of the room.
It appears that Ms. Morant is having a conversation. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And no additional public comment this evening?
That concludes.
Thank you. Board, we're moving on to item 8.1. May I have a motion to adopt revised board policies? Oh, wait, is this a public hearing? It is. Oh, got it. Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the revised board policies, item 8.1?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Thrower.
Second.
Second by Dr. James. Dr. Gullett?
Thank you. The adoption of revised board policies will ensure that the school board's policies reflect the board guidance and they are in statutory compliance.
I declare a public hearing. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the revised board policies this evening? Seeing none, we do have a motion and second on the table. Board, is there any additional discussion needed?
I would just like to state for the record that as per the agenda, these prior board action dates on this were a March 28th, 2023 board meeting, September 23rd of 2022, a work session on this topic. October 17th and 24th were work sessions as well. December 5th, 2022, work session, and January 4th of 2023 work session regarding the policies listed.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Board, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Board items under 9.1 is information only. As per new board policy 6345, the superintendent is authorized to approve and execute any construction contract change order that will increase the construction contract amount by $25,000 or less, or that will decrease the construction contract amount. Construction of a security fencing system at Anthony Elementary School, change order number 1, work authorization number 1, project 22-111. Construction of security fencing system at Lake Weir Middle School, a change order number 1, work authorization number 4, project 22-111. Construction of a new cafeteria and associated remodeling at North Marion High School, change order number 5, amendment number 2, project 18-109. So those are for information's sake only, but all of those were deductive change orders, saving us money from what we had budgeted. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda items C11.1 through C20.4 with the exception of items D21.1, D21.2, D21.3, D21.4, D21.5, and D21.6 that have been placed under discussion under regular agenda items, and item C20.1 that has been placed under discussion pulled agenda items. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Conrad, second by Reverend Cummings. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Gullett, would you like to introduce a member of your team to speak to our first discussion item, please?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm going to ask that our Director for Elementary Curriculum Instruction and Digital Learning come forward, Ms. Deb Riedel. This item pertains to change in Statute 6A-6.053, and I just want to make the board aware of the statute change in now needing board approval for acceptance and adoption of the reading plan. But Ms. Riedel has some additional information as well. Thank you.
I do, thank you. So the comprehensive evidence-based reading plan, this is something that we've been doing for years. It's been required by the state, and typically we send it to the Department of Education for approval. So this is the first time that they are actually requiring the plan to be approved by the board at the district level, and then after it's board approved, we have a deadline to submit the plan. So basically, it's our comprehensive evidence-based reading plan, and the funding source that's tied to that is FEFP, which is the Florida Education Finance Program. The majority of the money that's allocated from the state is to be spent on early learning and close the gap. So they really, although we can spend the money through secondary up to 12th grade, they really would like to see a bulk of the money spent on K through 3 and early learning. So typically the budget piece hasn't changed this year. Typically we purchase coaches out of that funding who work for the district to push in and support schools through coaching, training, collaborative planning, working side by side with teachers, running small groups, that type of thing. We also use our funding to purchase many of our intervention materials, training costs, so that we can send personnel, school staff and district staff, to training that is offered by the Department of Education as well. We also use some of the funding for our lesson writers, some of those teachers that we hire to write lessons as well for our curriculum maps. The raised schools really are a priority, and those are schools needing intensive support. Reddick Collier, Legacy, Bellevue Santos, and Romeo. We also have schools identified for targeted support by the state as well, and there's a list of 10 of those schools. And then, of course, there's a universal list, which would include all schools. So really, this funding will be used across the district. Part of our plan states that our district has a district literacy committee, and also that each school has a school-based leadership literacy team. So we submit that as part of our plan as well. It talks about screening, progress monitoring, diagnostic assessments. Summative assessments are process for basically diagnosing and monitoring reading in our students, which is inclusive of our multi-tier system of support. We also have a reflection tool that is part of this document. We completed that, and we are sending that in by May 15th. But basically, the plan kind of outlines our plan for how we promote literacy in our district and the steps that we take to implement a literacy program and monitor its effectiveness. And I think that's about it.
Board, are there any questions of Ms. Riedel?
I did have one.
Okay. Ms. Conrad?
On page 11, sorry, let's see. There is, it doesn't have a title, but it's the name of the assessment, the target audience, what components of reading is being assessed, assessment type, and then how often that data is being collected. And at the very bottom on the unit benchmark assessments, it's not indicated on how frequently that is going to be administered, and I didn't know if that was left blank on purpose or if it was just an oversight.
So it's not an oversight. We have a couple of weeks before we have to submit this, so we are in the process right now of talking through benchmark assessments and what they're going to look like moving forward. We had a variety of them throughout the year to measure mastery of our benchmarks that our teachers were teaching in 3 through 5. But at the same time, we know that our goal is to work toward minimizing testing. So we're still having some meetings and conversations as far as when those will occur, how often, which benchmarks are going to be tested, and that type of thing. So we just need to nail down really the frequency and what that's going to look like moving forward.
Ms. Riedel, I appreciate that because I know we've talked several times over the last couple of months if, you know, all of the assessment pieces that our K through 5 students especially are having to, I'll say, endure. So I appreciate that you're looking at that closely and gathering data on what we need to do next. I will be interested in how that, that piece turns out.
Thank you, Ms. Riedel. And as I see it, it does go a continuation on to page 12 there, so the other is marked. So this board member is assuming that if other is marked, that means it's in progress, and our potential approval of this evening isn't going to be impacted by a timeline shift that may occur there. I think that would be, because I'm assuming this is something that does have to be board approved now by statute, as Dr. Gullett said, and we wouldn't want us to hold up the process but to Ms. Conrad's point, we would like to stay abreast of the timeline as they are available. So board, may I have a motion to approve the district K-12 comprehensive evidence-based reading plan? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Conrad.
Second.
Second by Dr. James. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing, do you have something?
Just a
Vice Chair.
comment. Thank you for the hard work and the direction under Dr. Gullett. You know, there's nothing more that I want as a board member than to have the vast majority of our students, you know, reading well and reading early. And there was a nice lady that was up here earlier this evening and was talking about her partnership with us with several elementary schools. And, you know, we're looking at over $2.5 million here. It's definitely my hope and prayer that under the expertise and leadership and strategic plan that we have in place and all of the efforts and foundations we're putting in the scientific approach to reading, that we're going to begin to reap some dividends. and those dividends are our children excelling and being able to be successful. So I know this is just for 1 year, and I know we're going to be getting a lot of updates as to how it's going and what's working. And I'm really looking forward to that piece of it. And I thank everyone that is playing a part in helping our kids learn to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any additional discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Riedel. On to item D21.2. Dr. Gullett, would you like to introduce a member of your team who will speak to this item?
Yes, thank you again, Madam Chair. And so if we look at this next item, we're looking at a second amendment with Imagine Learning, and I'm going to ask Dr. Danielle Livengood to come forward, who represents secondary curriculum. This item is important for discussion because we are changing the course credit recovery for students and the capabilities for them to do that to ensure their success. So Dr. Livengood will give some additional details on that change. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Gullett. We are transitioning from what we frequently call Plato. The program is actually Edmentum. We're transitioning to Edgenuity. We already have that. As you know, you approved that back in October. We did that so our students could transition throughout this year and not have a cold cutoff date at the end of May 26th. So what we're doing with this this Second Amendment with Imagine Learning Edgenuity is this would expand to unlimited licenses at all our secondary schools. And so we're going to have many opportunities for students to use Edgenuity inside the classroom to get extra support as the units are taking place. So we're trying to prevent the students from not passing the course at the end of the semester and needing credit recovery, which also is provided through Edgenuity. But the benefit of opening this up to unlimited licenses at the schools would be to prevent the students from failing courses. Because we know, as we have had in many work sessions, the damage that does to our students' morale and their attendance once they become credit deficient.
Thank you, Dr. Livengood. Are there questions from the board for Dr. Livengood?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment.
Go ahead.
Dr. Livengood, I just wanted to say I'm excited about this program. There's been so much discussion on how to help us and our students move forward on their credit recovery. And so I'm super excited that this is a preventative measure. So thank you for your work in this area.
Thank you. We are as well.
Thank you, Ms. Conrad. My only question, I think I caught this, but I was trying to glance through it again just to make sure. You did say this is for all secondary. So is it not just credit recovery, but it also would be unit recovery at middle school levels?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
And we are slowly going to remove the word Plato from our vocabulary.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any additional comments from the board? May I have a motion to approve the Second Amendment with Imagine Learning, LLC?
So move.
Motion by Reverend Cummings.
Second.
Second by Ms. Conrad. Any additional discussion on this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item D21.3. Dr. Gullett, would you like to introduce the member of your team who will speak to this one?
Certainly. This will ask for Ms. Riedel to come back again, or Dr. Livengood can, either one. But Ms. Riedel really oversees this board. This item speaks to Marion subscription, and the reason this is important for the board to consider and for the public to be aware of is our compliance with House Bill 1467 with Marion being online titles. I want to assure this board and our community that we will be in full compliance whether a book is on a shelf or online. So Ms. Riedel can provide additional details about that, but I wanted to provide assurance to the board of that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We've been focused so much on our school library that sometimes I think people might forget that we have other sources where students get their information from. So we have to consider all of those sources, and Marion is one of those sources. I know that there's been some talk about Marion and the usage. I can tell you that we met with media specialists about 3 weeks ago and had a conversation with them at the end of the meeting about Marion and the value and what their thoughts were on it. And so they really felt strongly that the program does offer a variety of digital reading materials for students in addition to the books that are in the library. And they find the value in that, and they want our students to have access. So as it relates to House Bill 1467, we've had several conversations with the company about their plan to ensure that districts can maintain compliance with this House bill. So here are some of the updates we have from them. They do offer a PDF. They have over 8,000 titles in their library. If anybody goes to their website, it does require a click. You have to scroll down and click on Learn More, but you can get to a PDF, not a PDF, I'm sorry, an Excel file that they have posted. So all of their titles are posted on their website. You could do a Control F to find, so technically it is a searchable list. We can absolutely change that Excel file into another format so that we can post it on our website. However, the company does update their titles regularly. So anytime they update a title, we would have to go pull the list again and then put it back on our website. So we're working out the plan for that. We're confident that we can make this work. We do also have an option to block titles at the district level and at the school level, and media specialists also can block titles, individual titles for individual students. So we have those safeguards in place as well. We're just working with the company and trying to figure out the best way that we can post those titles, even though at any point in time, any one of us can find that list on the website, but we know we need to make that easier for parents before the start of the year so that we're in compliance. So we're working through all of that because yes, we want to provide ample reading opportunity for our students, but we also need to make sure that what they're checking out is age appropriate and relevant and all of those things that we've been talking about. So we're on top of that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Riedel. Board, any questions? Dr. James.
I just had a comment. My home has always been a pretty tech-limited home, and so my kindergartner didn't get a tablet until she went to kindergarten in the fall. And she has access to iReady and a couple other programs, but the only program that they use in my house is Marion. And my 4-year-old steals my 5-year-old's login and regularly asks me how to spell slime or monsters, so she can also, they have headphones and they sit and they listen. And I mean, I could get a solid 60 minutes if I get them on the right searchable. So I just want to say that I think that this is a tremendous asset to our families who have Wi-Fi in their homes. And I would encourage our parents to get their kids some headphones and get them sitting listening to stories, because it's a great tool, and I'm grateful to have it as a parent in this district.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that your child is reading at home. We currently have our usage is 18% of our students are using it at home. So we definitely want to see that more. So I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Conrad.
I just want to thank you for your work. And it's not something, all this talk about book and checking our libraries and our titles, this did not cross my mind, and it's something that I used weekly in my classroom, in the classroom setting, and it really was a valuable tool, not just to read for entertainment, but also there were a lot of resources for science and social studies that gave the kid access to, factual information. It also allowed me as a teacher to give them something on their reading level, because you could search by reading level as well as by topic. And so I just want to thank you for getting ahead of this so we didn't lose this as a resource for our classroom and for our families. So thank you.
Vice Chair Thrower.
Thank you, thank you. And this is great stuff. I remember when we first approved Marion, and we were all wondering, what the usage was going to be like and the availability. And I think that more and more families do have internet now, so they can avail themselves. And there's so many titles to choose from. I'm glad you're, being proactive on making sure that they're all in compliance with the law. Dr. James, it was really warmed my heart to hear you share your personal story about how your girls are really into it, and that's obviously exactly what we're looking for. It sounds to me like $800,000 well spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. May I have a motion to approve the Fourth Amendment with Renaissance Learning, Inc. for Marion subscription? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Conrad.
Second.
Second by Dr. James. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Dr. Gullett, would you please introduce a member of your team who is going to speak to item D21.4?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, Donna Kidwell, our Director for Exceptional Student Education, is here. This item includes a large dollar amount, as you see, and it speaks to, we have 15 independent contractor agreements. So Ms. Kidwell is going to provide some background because of the vacancies we have and the need to support our ESE students. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Gullett. So this agenda item represents 15 individual contracts for 15 speech language therapists. We currently have 61 such full-time positions. Of these 15 therapists, some are part-time, some are full-time. If we were to employ these 15 therapists for their current hours, some work 3 days, some work 1 day, some work 5 days a week, the amount for their total salaries would come to approximately $977,000. Because we do have, as Superintendent Gullett alluded, we have high turnover amongst our therapists. So if a therapist were to leave, we may have to reach out to some of the part-time therapists to see if they'd be willing to come on full-time and make up the days of therapy that their counterparts or their colleagues provided before they left us. So therefore, the contracts allow for full-time employment for all of the therapists, knowing that many of them will remain part-time and only be compensated for that part-time. Included in this $1.3 million amount are salaries for extended school year, or ESY. We've included the month of June and the month of July, because as we remember last year, ESY covered both months. This year, ESY will only cover June, but to avoid numerous amendments to each of these 72 contracts we have to put together every year, we incorporate the extended school year hours into this original document. The ESY salary hours are paid for out of the IDEA-B grant, whereas the salaries during the school year are paid for by district funds. So we have some leeway built in. We do serve approximately 4,000 students who receive speech and or language therapy services, and we want to make sure we can maintain therapists at all times so there's no lapses to those services. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Kidwell. Board, any questions? I don't think so. So may I have a motion to approve the independent contractor agreements with our speech language pathologists? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Thrower. Second by Reverend Cummings. Any discussion, board? Hearing none, all in favor? Vice Chair, did you want to say something? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Kidwell. May I have a motion to approve the first addendum to the School Board Attorney Employment Agreement, Jeremy T. Powers, Esquire? May I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Reverend Cummings.
Second.
Second by Ms. Conrad. Board, as you know, we had extensive conversation about this in our most recent work session, and this agenda item with all of the appropriate documentation has been added to our board docs. Are there any questions about what we have previously discussed or anything now with any changes that we have? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Attorney Powers. We'll have you for a couple more years.
Thank you.
Dr. Gullett, I believe you have some additional information for our item D21.6.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One more item tonight for me. I am pleased to share that this memorandum of understanding came from a conversation I had with Matt Clay, the new CEO of Heart of Florida, and their commitment to partnering with our school district to support our student needs. So this MOU, should you approve it, will include dental and mental health services to our students at Reddick Collier. So just appreciative of that, and happy to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. May I have a motion to approve item D21.6 in this memorandum of understanding with the Heart of Florida Health Center?
So move.
Motion by Reverend Cummings. Second by Ms. Conrad. Is there any additional discussion on this item? I would just like to say, I know that this item came late on our agenda, but this is one that at the chair's discretion, this is a time-sensitive issue. They do need to have this approved for them to apply for the funding by May 1st, and so we got the notice late. I understand the value as the chair to us have this discussion if there was discussion needed on this item, and so I, as the chair, made the decision to add it to our agenda this evening so we could have the expedients needed for this memorandum. Is there any additional discussion about it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the 2022-2023 summer school staffing plan? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dr. James. Second by Ms. Conrad. Vice Chair Thrower, I understand that you pulled item C20.1 and wish to have further discussion.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's a $5,700,000 staffing plan, and I just wanted to bring light to an appreciation to all of the teachers, support staff, speech language pathologists, principals, everyone on the team that it takes to pull off a summer program that is comprehensive as we've been offering, especially the last few years. We are going to be offering everything from extended school year for our kids with special needs, driver's ed, credit recovery, acceleration options, and we all pay our taxes, and so it's not really free, but it sure feels free when you have that many opportunities. So I really did just want to amplify the opportunities that Marion County Public Schools offers and is committed to continuing to offer to help every student succeed. And I always like seeing on our agendas what strategic plan goals each item is addressing. And this one is Goal 1, student success, and Goal 3, talent management. So those are the reasons why I wanted to pull it and just have a little conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Thrower. Any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. So we are now on to board committee reports and concerns. I first want to also say to the board that we have an ICROC committee meeting that is scheduled for April 27th at 4:00 p.m. in the MTI auditorium here. And then I also wanted to make the board aware that May 4th has a scheduled agenda item that is the district office facility planning topic. It was scheduled for May 4th, but it is going to need to be presented at another time due to some time issues that it's not going to be ready by May 4th, though we were really hoping so. It is the only agenda item on May 4th right now, so I wanted to open that up to the board. If there is anything else that you would like to see added to the May 4th work session, we need to have that discussion now to see what that would be. I do know that there will be, based on Dr. Gullett and my conversation today, some things we have coming up in June, a lot of things, that we most likely will need to schedule an extra work session in the month of June, just because of the way some of these things will line up. And so we will be receiving an email so we can coordinate calendars via email for that, so we can get an extra work session scheduled. But at this time, is there anything that the board would like to see added to May 4th for discussion? Because if not, there is not an agenda item for that work session. Vice Chair.
So am I hearing, just due to timing of items, that we may be looking at not having a work session on May 4th and adding a work session in June, because that's going to be the best use of and efficiency of everyone's time? Because if that's the case, then I'm ready to vote.
Based on everything that she went down a list of things that we need to be doing in June. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Dr. Cullen.
I certainly can, yes. That would be correct. We have, I would also call the attention to the board for the work session on June 1st includes the 5-year district facilities work program. At this time, I would recommend we take that and combine it with the facility planning topic, and then we would need another session. Those other sessions are already quite full, so we would need another session as early as the very end of May, if not the beginning of June, depending on the timing of the information we've been anxiously awaiting from the long-range study.
Dr. James.
I just want to, and I had this conversation with staff earlier this week, but this 6-month study has been the longest 6 months. It's not been 6 months. And so I think we just need to publicly say that. We've said it's a 6-month study for the last 12 months, basically. And I think we need to publicly acknowledge that we appreciate that it has been longer than 6 months, and we had to have said that we were going to speak about it in May, and now we're discussing that we're not going to talk about it until June. And it does look like we are not necessarily kicking the can down the road, but it looks like the can's getting kicked. And so I just think it's important to publicly acknowledge that we're not there yet, and maybe we can elaborate on why we're not there yet publicly or not, I don't know, but I'm certainly frustrated by the fact that we are not having the discussion about this yet, because I think when I was elected in August, we were talking about the fact that the 6-month study had already been submitted and was started. Well, that was far more than 6 months ago at this point. So I just think it's something that needs to at least be acknowledged.
Thank you, Dr. James. I don't remember the time. I know we were talking about doing it. I don't remember the timeline of when the board actually approved it. It doesn't matter. You're right. It's been the longest time forever. We're waiting on something that we are at the mercy of a consultant and their timeline that seems to be different than what we would like to see. So until we have that data and until we have this third-party advisement
that we're required to have in order for us to potentially ask for additional funding sources, we need to have the third-party mechanism in place. But absolutely concur with what you've said. It's been the longest time ever that we've been waiting. I'm grateful that we're doing it.
That's a question.
Yes, Reverend Cummings.
With this, we've been, like Dr. James said, and you guys just reiterated that we've been waiting a while for this to come back. What was in the contract that we made with the consultant on when they would get this back to us? Because if they're in violation of the contract, then hey, we need to do something different.
I'll look into it. I'm not sure when it was submitted. I know we had discussion about it before submission. So I would have to look at that and find out what that was. I don't know, although staff was discussing it, I don't know when it was formally submitted to the consultant. So I'll look into it and report back to the board.
Thank you.
Dr. Gullett.
Madam Chair, I would also say that if something comes soon and we're prepared, I haven't received anything yet, then we would certainly bring that to the board immediately and ask for something sooner, because I know we're all anxiously awaiting that, to Dr. James' point. Absolutely.
Okay, so board, at this point, May 4th, would we like to just say that we are going to postpone the work session on May 4th and
be postponed, we just won't have it.
Well, not, the topic for May 4th will be postponed until a later date to be determined by our calendar coordination via email. But the May 4th work session will not go on as scheduled currently. Okay? And with that, we'll go ahead and move into committee reports and other concerns of the board. Is there anything from the board clerk's office?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Attorney Powers.
Thank you, board, for renewal of my contract for the next few years, and I am greatly appreciative and hope to serve you well. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Dr. Gullett.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just a few items. We've recently talked about this and recognized them, but this week is officially Marion After School Professionals Week. So we appreciate all that they do, an extension of the day for our students, what a valuable service they provide. It is also the Public Education Foundation Marion County Awareness Week, which Ms. Magamal referred to earlier, and we are really appreciative of all that the foundation does for our students and our schools. Tomorrow is the Superintendent Art Show. I'm looking forward to recognizing our amazing, talented students, and so looking forward to spending time with them. And last but not least, we had our final parent partnership at Vanguard this past Saturday, so we had a great turnout, and I appreciate all of the folks that have spent time, all of our partners, both our employees and those partners in the community that come out and support engaging with our families. And so I want to thank everybody for a full year of that engagement with our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. James.
Good evening, MCPS community. I always look forward to how we start our meetings. Tonight, I was inspired by the student speakers as they were recognized for their achievements in science. They made science sound so cool. I also want to publicly thank all of our business partners and encourage more of our local businesses to consider investing in our schools as a school business partner. I want to thank our speakers tonight, including Ms. Cameron, for coming to share their concerns with us tonight. Ms. Cameron made some very valid points. As many may know, I own a preschool myself and understand the challenges she shared. As I've shared with our superintendent and her staff, I would like to lend any guidance and expertise to find a way to make the Tiny Institute possible. It is on my radar, and I'll continue to be a passionate advocate for early childhood education. This evening, we approved some great items that will continue to move our district in the right direction. Mr. Donnie Manning, a longtime leader in Marion County, as well as a product of the North End, will be leading Reddick Collier Elementary beginning at the end of next month. I'm excited to have him as a leader in District 5 and look forward to watching him take over Ms. Cooper's reins, who heads to assist our HR department, and continue to lead the school to many successes. I'm proud of the work we did as a board to put in place an appropriate and fitting evaluation tool for our superintendent. It was far past time for this board to use an effective tool to evaluate her performance in this district. This new tool, which we approved tonight, will put into place next month, and we as a board will meet the requirements of her contract and evaluate her prior to June 1st. We've done good work, and I'm proud of this board. I want to take a brief moment to highlight a few of the events and visits I had since our last board meeting. Ms. Dobbs at East Marion Elementary hosted her attendance problem-solving meeting earlier this month, and it is an innovative approach to tackling the attendance shortcomings she experiences in her community. Her and her leadership team are making great strides at East Marion. These collaborative meetings are a game changer, and she's doing great work. During my visit to South Ocala Elementary, I had the opportunity to meet with not only the principal, but also a teacher, who is a representative of the boots on the ground we have at our schools throughout Marion County. I feel honored that this position has put me in a place to be available to hear concerns and achievements from all staff members, principals, and teachers alike. The MCPS Media Festival, which was in person for the first time since 2019, was so amazing. We had so many schools awarded, and I'm extra proud of Madison Street Academy and my daughter for winning overall first place for their video. I loved attending the MCPS Career Fair. Miss Marion and her team did a tremendous job putting on an incredibly successful and efficient event. I enjoyed being able to see so many of our leaders in one place. The energy in the room was incredibly encouraging. Tomorrow is Administrative Professionals Day, and I want to take just a moment to thank all of our administrative professionals for their tireless work throughout MCPS. I want to thank our board clerk, Ms. Martinez Lopez, for her loyalty and dedication to this board and our productivity. On that note, I will end with a quote. "No one is more cherished in this world than someone who lightens the burden of another." Thank you to each and every one of our employees who lightens the load for each other every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. James. Reverend Cummings.
Good evening, everyone. Just four quick things. We've had a very informative meeting, very productive meeting. It started off great with our young STEM or STEAM students and their science projects. I was so pleased to see those kids out there, and I'm looking forward to more and more kids getting involved in that process. One of the things I did want to talk about is a few weeks ago, we talked about some school rezoning within District 3. I think some of those processes have already started, but I want us to be clear to the community that there will be opportunities for communications to go out to those families, those who will be affected by this school rezoning. I've recently been contacted by folk that are wondering what's the process, what things are happening, and I know that we have a team of people in place that will be very transparent in communicating with the community to remove all that anxiety and angst about how this is going to go forward. So that will come forward very soon. The second thing is a few weeks ago, we across the district gave out Chromebooks, free Chromebooks. Wonderful event to give out the Chromebooks. And then tonight we talked about the Marion program and all those things. I want to encourage the families that got those Chromebooks that we don't want them to be paperweights. We need them to be actively used. To please get with your schools, to please get with your principals and teachers to find out what programs that they can utilize with those Chromebooks. Marion is one of those programs that should be utilized using the Chromebooks. Those Chromebooks should help us to progress and not regress. So please, parents, reach out to your teachers, to your schools, to find out what things that you can use those Chromebooks for. There are some wonderful programs out there that the district encourages and endorses, and we want to make sure that you're using them so that our kids can get better and better and better as they go forward. Third, but not final, tonight we heard from a public speaker about two public speakers about bullying and different things that happens at schools. I want to encourage families to have those conversations with your school. You have to be your child's advocate. If things aren't right, contact us, contact schools. Start the school, start with the principals and the teachers first. Let me say that, start with them first and try to get some type of resolution. We do have a zero policy on bullying, and we want all of these kids to be in an environment where it's conducive for them to matriculate and learn in such a way that it's not harmful or distressful. To hear of kids hiding in the bathroom and texting their parents, those are not things that we as a board and we as parents, because we have kids too that we want to hear are happening, and we want to resolve those things as quickly as possible. One thing that I heard tonight in one of those conversations that distressed me is that really, really distressed me. And Mr. McFadden, this one kind of goes, I'm sure you probably heard it too, that there was a gun that the kids say that they were being threatened with a gun. And I heard the speaker say that wasn't their concern. Well, any gun is their concern. A gun in a school that's not on a law enforcement officer or guardian or someone that's supposed to have it is distressing to me, because every day we're hearing about the gun violence in our country. So I don't want anyone to think that it's not their problem. It is all of our problems. If there's a gun in the school, that shouldn't be there, and especially in the hands of a kid who may be already bullying. So please, 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 families, if your kids are experiencing this or are being told that someone has a gun, that they need to report that ASAP. And I guarantee you that we have staff in place that are going to investigate and make sure that our kids, our staff, our schools are safe. There's just not a place for that in our schools. And then finally, I'm going to end on a good note tonight. A couple of Fridays ago, I had the opportunity to be at Howard Middle School. I was invited to there by one of the teachers, the literacy teachers, reading teachers, because they were celebrating the different books that the students had been reading. And it was the Friday that these kids got the opportunity to dress up as the characters in the books that they read. I thought about posting it because normally I post those things, but I was just caught up in the moment that it wasn't, I didn't want it to be viewed as something as bragging, but I do want to brag about it now, because I think the more ways we can get kids to read, the better. I think when kids are reading, it opens up their, it opens up opportunities, it expands where they see the world and how they see the world. And I saw kids dressed as a lot of Harry Potter. So they love Harry Potter. And so I saw the Hogwarts, and I saw all those different things. And I saw some books that I didn't know. And it challenged me to figure out who these characters were in these books as they were dressing up in the characters. And so I want to celebrate Howard for that event, the principal there, and for the teachers there that pushed these kids. And we took a big picture out in the courtyard there were a lot of kids. You would think 8th grade students would want to dress up as characters, and they were dressed up as their characters. So whatever we can do to continue to get these kids to read, I just believe that reading is fundamental to success in life. I believe that reading gives us greater opportunities. So kudos to Howard Middle School for that. And let's keep doing those things that we're going to get kids reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings. Ms. Conrad.
Yes, I do have a few items. Good evening, everyone. Ms. Cameron, Carol, I just want to thank you. I know the topic of the Tiny Tot Institute has been heavy on your heart. And so I just want to thank you for coming tonight and taking your time to share all of the great things that your grandson has been able to benefit from, and for encouraging for us to think outside of the box. So thank you for that. And Ms. Miller, I wanted to tell you also, we have a lot of great literacy things that have been added this year, especially in our elementary schools, and especially in phonics. So I just wanted to let you know that, and I feel like we are headed in the right direction with that literacy development, especially in our primary grades. So thank you, too, for coming and talking tonight. A little bit repetitive, but I have to say it, our science fair winners and sharing and speaking with us was just phenomenal. It's motivating, and I hope some of our students in the younger grades do get to hear what they had to share about their experience with the science fair. I'm also really grateful for Megan and the foundation, Kevin and the CEP, along with Beth McCall, and the work that they're doing to connect our business community with our schools. And I thought we had a great turnout here for our business partners this evening, and we're just really grateful that they are buying into the work that we're doing in our schools, because it does take a village, we're seeing, to raise our children. So thank you to our business partners. Also, I was able to visit Osceola this last week. They had a We the People project I had not been able to participate in or take part in. It was just really great. And so I come from elementary school and had not had the opportunity to see that in action. And I was just floored with the amount of knowledge that our middle schoolers have. And so it was really fantastic, a little extra special because there were some previous students there, and I got to see them shine in all their glory with what they've learned. Howard Middle School is participating again this Thursday. So if you have the opportunity, it's a great experience. Also this weekend, I want to give a shout out to North Marion High School and Bellevue High School and Shady Hill. There was a performance at the Veterans Park. It was a fantastic performance, but they couldn't have done it without North Marion High School ROTC. They came and helped set up the risers, get everything prepared. So just really a great opportunity for our kids to perform and be part of service at our Veterans Park. So thank you, those three schools, for reaching out and making that happen. We have a reading night Thursday night at Barnes & Noble. So I'm looking forward to that. More literacy. And Mr. Frazier, I want to tell you thank you. Last meeting we were talking about and discussing graduation and who was going to be where and how could we be a part of it. And so right away we got an email giving us some direction on how we can be a part of graduation. So thank you for handling that so quickly. We appreciate it. I do want to request an update on the Code of Civility. I do feel like it's very important. And so I know that we had a lot of discussion on it and there were some changes that needed to be made. And so just in the near future, I'd like to know where we stand on the Code of Civility. And with that, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Conrad. Vice Chair Thrower.
Thank you. And yes, the more the community and our families are connected to our schools, the better our schools will be. We all know that. And I am also very grateful to Ms. Miller. I called you the nice lady earlier because I could not remember your name, but I was listening when Board Member Conrad said it. And Ms. Cameron, it's always great to see you. Both of you are so committed to making sure our children have the best opportunities. And whenever we lose a cherished employee and when they move on to other opportunities, sometimes there's a real hole left behind, and it takes time to make adjustments. But I know this board is, and our superintendent and everyone that works in the school system is committed to doing the innovative, as swift as possible, which things don't always move as fast as we would like. And when they do, we're exceedingly happy about that because there is so much to accomplish. And we're committed to just facilitating more and more great things happening. It was an interesting contrast tonight, this meeting. We opened with such amazing kids that are obviously very connected to school and feel very comfortable and safe. And then we heard some very troubling stories and situations about other kids that are definitely having difficulties. And it just got me thinking more and more about our responsibilities as each of us as adults, how we model, how we behave, how we demonstrate the problem-solving skills. Even when we're really passionate about a topic, you can always come up with connections to people and find those nuggets where we can come together and then take another step forward. So those are some of my takeaways tonight. As I visit my schools, I'm just reminded all over again of the intensity of the commitment, the intensity of the work, the intensity of the passion that the vast majority of everyone that is involved with students every single day has. And I'll just end by saying, many hands make for light work, And we can all do just a little bit more, a little bit differently, with maybe someone you've never connected with before, and I bet we'll all be amazed at how we continue to accelerate on behalf of each and every student. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Thrower. Board, we've covered a whole gamut, all kinds of things that we're all doing and we're all involved in, and I too want to just say a few quick things because I know we've been here a while. But I know that this is Marion After School Professionals Week, and you all know I'm a huge champion for those folks. And some of those people that have impacted my kids' lives, we still have communication with and have contact with. And I can honestly tell you, while a lot of our females are in Marion After School programs, it's often the male employees that make such an impact on my male children. So the more we can get guys out there to be interested in getting in Marion After School programs, it really does make a difference on being role models and examples for those kids and just being a mentor and someone they can have camaraderie with. So grateful for all the Marion After School Professionals folks. Public Education Foundation this morning was their board meeting, and we had a great time doing a data walk, looking at the strategic plan that the Public Ed Foundation put into place and the goals they've had and where they're moving and where they're trying to progress. And we all had little sticky notes, and I can't wait to see what all the ideas were because we were all broken into groups, and some groups are really quiet. And then some groups like mine, we were talking like crazy about, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? So they do such great work, and the business partnerships that they have been able to bring to our schools and just continued focus in bringing connections to classrooms is part of their mission. And so I'm super grateful for the Public Education Foundation and that this being their awareness week for our Public Education Foundation in Marion County. I too was at the We the People at Osceola, and we'll be going to the Howard one, and there's another one at South Ocala, and there's just all these We the People things. And so I love that. As a college student, I had a political science minor, and my master's degree actually focused on political communication. So this is my wheelhouse. I love civics. I love the whole everything about that. But I was talking to a teacher actually in another event, and mentioning that I had just been at We the People, and she was saying, oh, Buddy Oswald was my teacher, and I said, wait a minute, I met him this morning because our program specialist who helps in our social studies made sure she introduced us all to Buddy Oswald, because while he may not be incredibly the brains behind it all, he has continued it on even since when teachers who are currently teaching in our system had him, and it's just a focus that he's had. And so it's my first time meeting Mr. Oswald, but super grateful that we are putting that on and all that is. I also, while not a district-sponsored event, I had the opportunity also to attend the FCA Night of Champions event, where we had a large representation from multiple schools, multiple coaches. It was just a really, really great event, and lots of impactful conversations happened in that evening. Also with the We the People, I also wanted to mention our supervisor of elections is out visiting our high schools right now and signing our seniors up, it's predominantly our seniors, for voter registration. They can even sign up at 16, where they will automatically get their voter registration. And I popped in on one of those at Westport High School and just tried to say, hey, here, this is what it looks like whenever you actually there's actually a real person behind the name on the ballot. So they are doing those periodically. I think at least one at Bellevue High School is coming up on May 1st. So board, if you're available, I'm sure we can get the schedule from the supervisor's office just to pop in and put a name with a face on a ballot. I think anytime we can do that real world connection will help students understand even that much more about voting and the election process. Also, I'm super grateful that this board had a lot of conversation last work session about student representatives coming to our board that we'll be welcoming in the fall. I know our high school principals have a lot of work to do with the district to figure that out over the course of the next couple of weeks, but that was something fun to be able to tell the students from Osceola during We the People that, if you're aspiring to do something, when you become a high school student, we're going to have potentially a place for you to come and serve as a student representative. Their eyes were lighting up. Administrators, I've told multiple principals this week, they love it. They're super excited, as am I, as you can tell. The last 2 days, I've been visiting schools and principals, and now that my dissertation is submitted into ProQuest, I'm out in schools, and I'm out, and for the first time ever, actually, I'm just popping in, and I'm not calling or texting a principal in advance. And so that's been interesting, and they're obviously welcoming me in, but I'm just saying, hey, you're not expecting me, I'm just popping in. And it's been great, whether it's to offer encouragement and support and just that listening ear to some of our principals that need it right now, or being a thought partner and an idea generator, as I was today with a principal thinking creatively about how to get kids in school for testing week or whatever it is. Our principals are doing great work. They just are. And I can't wait to get in front of more principals and talk with them and just continue to build relationships in what they're doing in their schools. There's just a lot of great work happening. I too am grateful for all the speakers that we had this evening. Thank you to the two ladies who are still remaining with us this evening that spoke earlier. We did hear from some parents also about some really tough situations that are happening among some of our students. The vast majority of our students in Marion County Public Schools are making the right choices, the vast majority. But when we hear situations like we did this evening, it causes us all, myself included, I would say, I'm not trying to lump us all together, but I know I have a pit in my stomach every time I hear something like that, knowing that we, first of all, have students that are making the wrong choices, and secondly, that we have students that are being impacted by those choices. I know that there are times where we also need to ensure that our adults are being adults. And while I know there are great things happening in our schools, there also are those times when we have students that witness something, see something, and we need the adults to be the adults. I witnessed something last evening that I wasn't very pleased with, and I must say that what we tolerate is often masked as acceptance. And we have to ensure that when students are doing things that are inappropriate, lack of sportsmanship, lack of respect for others, that adults need to be adults. And the last thing I will say is on a good note. I'm so grateful that Attorney Powers is going to be with us again for another 3 years, but what I'm most grateful for is how we had a moment with him during the most recent work session, and I'm not going to call him out too much, but he and another individual from our community that are MCPS graduates, both here serving in different capacities, not in education, but as subject matter experts in professions that they've chosen to go into as Marion County Public Schools graduates. They're products of Marion County Public Schools, and that deserves celebration. We need to continue to celebrate those. Board Member Conrad, Reverend Cummings, I mean, we can go on and on. But again, we're serving as school board members, but Attorney Powers is in the legal profession and was in the legal profession for years before he joined us in the school board. The community representative I was talking about was Thomas Buss, who represents us with insurance, and he's an insurance subject matter expert. We have dozens, hundreds, thousands of folks here in Marion County Public Schools. We're producing great graduates, and we need to tell that story even better. Not only great graduates, but great students, great graduates, great alumni that go on to be great professionals in this community and elsewhere. So I continue to be grateful for that, and that's my happy note for tonight. So thank you, Attorney Powers. So before addressing expulsion matters, I wish to acknowledge that board members have received the alternative placement list for students through March 30th, 2023. Are there any parents who have submitted a timely request to speak on their child's disciplinary matter?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 23-0051 with educational services through the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year and the first semester of the 2023-2024 school year? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Thrower. Second by Ms. Conrad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of JD 23-0164, JD 23-0165, JD 23-0168, JD 23-0170, and JD 2023-0171 with educational services through the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year and the first semester of the 2023-2024 school year.
That's first and
That's first and second, I'm sorry, first and second semester of the 2023-2024 school year. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Conrad,
Second.
second by Dr. James. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Also, board, please be advised, student JD 23-0166 is being moved to off-air portion of the meeting for further discussion. I believe that is still correct. Is that still correct? Thank you. Yes, we will have an off-air portion for that particular conversation. With that, we will go into a brief recess before we head into the off-air portion of the school board meeting. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's 7:44 p.m.